were heard over Qatar and in the capital Doha, and according to Axios, they're saying that they're citing Israeli officials that Iran launched 6 missiles towards US bases in Qatar, and then according to Reuters, witnessed further explosions heard over Doha. I'm also being told that sirens are going off in Bahrain. This entire region has been on edge and on high alert, and concerns are growing that this could spread and escalate across the region. Earlier today, Qatar closed its airspace, and we now understand that 6 missiles were launched against US bases in Qatar, and that explosions have been heard over the capital, Doha. Let's bring in our Mark Stone, who joins us live from Washington. Mark, a lot of developing news in the last few minutes. We heard earlier Qatar closing its airspace. Before that, the US Embassy in Qatar telling American citizens to take shelter, to stay indoors. The British officials said the same thing. Then, like I said, the Qatari airspace was closed. I heard from some Israeli officials here that there was some kind of understanding between the Iranians and US officials to draw a line in the sand and to launch these attacks on these bases in Qatar. I just put that to the former commander of CENTCOM, who denied that that kind of back-channel conversation would be had. But in this environment, it feels like anything is currently possible.
Yeah, but it's worth pointing out that the Americans are still claiming that Steve Witkoff, Donald Trump's Middle East envoy, is indirectly still talking to the Iranians. So there is a channel of communication there that is still open. It's also important to note that in 20 minutes' time or 15 minutes' time, Donald Trump was due to be back in the Situation Room for an update. That will now clearly include the developments over the last 10 minutes, which suggests certainly that Iran has launched some sort of missile strike against Qatar, against American assets in Qatar, and also reports of similar strikes perhaps against American bases in Iraq as well. We will get confirmation of that, I'm sure. But Qatar is the focus at the moment, and is very, very close to Iran. You just look at a map, it's just across the water. And in Qatar, a very small country, there is a very, very large American airbase. It's called Al Udeid. It is where Donald Trump was just a month ago as part of his Middle East trip. He went to the base to visit troops there, and he gave I was there with him, and he gave what felt like an American-style political rally. Thousands of troops in one of the many, many hangars there. We walked through the hangars, we could see the aircraft, the helicopters, all American. What's important to note is that there are not just American troops there. There are Qatari troops. There are troops from many other countries. The Brits have been based there over the course of the years as well. So you can see how this could become very dangerous indeed and draw other countries in. We'll await to see what details emerge about these strikes. It's also important to note that the Americans would have put in place as many precautions as they can. They would have known that the Iranians would try and strike back. And so there will be anti-missile technology similar to the stuff you've been seeing in Israel. The same is in place in Qatar to try and shoot these incoming missiles out of the sky. But tense times indeed. I think the question unanswered, Yalda, at the moment is whether or not, I think it is totally expected that Iran would have to respond to what happened on Saturday night in some way. But are they going to respond in a calculated way that allows them to be seen to respond, but does not prompt the Americans to ratchet up the tension and respond in kind again? After the assassination of Qasem Soleimani in 2020, that was done by Donald Trump as well. That was a moment where we were in precisely the same situation. Everyone wondered, how will Iran respond to this audacious assassination against its top general? The answer was they went for a token response. They fired missiles at the Al Asad airbase in Iraq. They injured American troops. They didn't kill any. And that was the way that this whole thing then was able to de-escalate. Let's see what happens this time.
Yeah, I've just got a few more lines because our sources at Sky are telling us, with knowledge of the situation, they're confirming that Iranian missiles have targeted Al Udeid airbase in Qatar. And I'm getting more confirmation from the Qataris on that at the moment. But what we also understand from Reuters is that maximum alert status was declared. Orders were issued to take shelter in bunkers at Ain al Asad airbase in Iraq as well. So as we've been reporting the Qatari, the airbase, Al Udeid airbase in Qatar has been targeted, but also maximum alert status declared and orders issued to take shelter in bunkers at the airbase in Iraq as well. Mark, I'm just going to bring you back in because this does seem to be the coordinated response from the Iranians. The question is how well prepared and alert were the Americans to this and their air defences swinging into action. I just spoke to the former head of CENTCOM who said that they would, the scenario he posed to me was that they would be on high alert and the interceptors would be doing their work. But as from what we understand, 6 missiles were launched at Al Udeid. We'll have to wait and see what the impact of that has been or whether the interceptors did the work that they needed to do. And as you say, the one thing that Donald Trump doesn't want to see is body bags returning, and perhaps this might draw a line in the sand, but we'll have to wait and see how this evolves.
Precisely that. This is the moment of high jeopardy. If any one of those missiles has hit the airbase and has caused Americans to be killed, well then, it changes everything. Donald Trump would be forced to respond, would want to respond to that, and that would be how this escalates. If, on the other hand, either the interceptors have been successful and the rockets, missiles have not landed, have not caused damage, or if the Iranians have fired them in such a way that they look like they're responding, but actually it does not involve any casualties, then that's how perhaps all of this de-escalates. But as you've been saying, 2 air bases now struck. Both of them are large. One is in one is in Iraq, to the south of Baghdad, the other in Qatar.